Welcome back to another Overwatch Coach VOD review. So this actually isn't going to be a VOD review. I figured I'd come at you guys with some raw statistical changes that we are going to be seeing in the next balance change, and then also talk about some raw statistical things coming from the new support hero. I figure for the people that do sub to me, you're not subbing to this channel to necessarily get all the changes in terms of patch notes and things like that, but there might be some stuff that gets missed along the line that I thought maybe I could cover, help you guys out, help prep for the next season of Season 4 of Overwatch 2. So I've got some notes here on my other monitor that will run down while we're watching a VOD of a game I'm in, but we're not watching the play. We're not watching my perspective. So this isn't me playing Kiriko, but I just grabbed the Kiriko as somebody to watch while we're playing or while I'm reading through this, just so we're clear on that. All right, so we're going to start with balance changes coming to every character in Season 4. So Reinhardt, his armor is decreased from 300 to 250, and his health is increased from 175 to 200. So Reinhardt's a little squishier now. That health increase isn't really going to amount to very much. The armor, losing armor, that's kind of a big deal. So as a support, when you see that armor dipping down on Reinhardt, pop over to him, try to keep that armor going for as long as possible, because that's what really helps soak in the damage. Sigma, his rock ability, the direct damage was reduced from 100 to 80. That means he loses his 2-hit combo on a 200 HP hero. So if you played Sigma, or if you were one of the supports and you got hit by the rock and then he, combo you with one of his left click abilities and take you out, that's not going to happen anymore, assuming you entered that whole interaction at full health. However, his stun increased from 0.8 to 1.1 seconds. So you're going to be down a little longer, and it's entirely possible you get smacked by something else and then you die anyway. But if you're just in a one-on-one, you're not going to get two-tapped anymore. Let's see here. Ashe. Ashe no longer gains ultimate charge while Bob is deployed. So that's kind of a big nerf to Ashe, because a good Ashe player could really build up ult charge. They usually could get, like, on a top tier, like, best case scenario, probably would have gotten maybe about 35% ult charge with a Bob deployed. Maybe a little bit more than that, but I'd say probably in the ballpark of about 35%. If there's any Ashe players out there that want to correct that stat, feel free, but I'm thinking it's around 35. But anyway, so that's like 35% ult charge, give or take a little bit. That's just, they got to grind out after Bob goes bye-bye. So that's kind of a big deal to Ashe. Going to Cassidy, his HP has been brought back down to 200. So as of Season 3, he was 225. Never really liked that change, didn't personally get it. Brought back to 200. So I think that's a good change for Cassidy, in my opinion. Didn't really understand that one when they did it initially. And then they nerfed his magnetic grenade. The damage reduced from 131 to 120. So that's a big deal, because if you got stuck, assuming you're okay, so almost everybody watching this is probably a support player, because that's like 99.9% of the VODs that I review are support, with like a couple Symmetra VODs in there. So that means you're at 200 HP no matter what. So if you got magnetic grenaded and then you got body shotted by a Cassidy, you would be dead. And I don't know about you guys, but that always ticked me off. I hate that ability. I think that ability needs to be changed. I think it needs to be completely reworked. I hate the magnetic grenade. It's way too sticky, in my opinion. Like, I've seen that thing, like, hard turn around corners and still stick me. It's, in my opinion, ridiculous. But now that won't happen. He'll have to two tap you after the grenade to kill you, which is a little bit more forgiving. Still not really what I'd like it to be at, but it's, you know, it's better, I guess. So there's that. Sombra got a slight buff. Her EMP now disables May's Blizzard. So May gets a small nerf there. So if you're a May player and there's a Sombra on the map, or if you want to play Sombra and there's a May on the map, you can counter her freeze, which I think is a good change because it makes sense. But at the same token, May's ult needs some kind of love. I feel like May's ult not really feeling like it's in a good place these days. So yeah, but that anyway has been a change. All right, so let's get to an actual support change. So you Ana players out there, if you sleep dart a tank, the sleep duration has been reduced from 5 seconds to 3.5. This is only for tanks. So if you sleep a support or a DPS, it's still 5 seconds. But, you know, these Hammonds, these Roadhogs, whoever, they're not going to be down for as long. So now you might want to just wake them up if your team's not in a position to punish them, you know, with, like, say, the anti-nade, or maybe you just sleep them and run for your life, because 3.5 seconds, that doesn't give you a lot of time to react, as opposed to the 5 seconds you used to have. So keep that in the back of your mind when you're playing Ana now. All right, Brig, we finally know her rework. I've been harping about the Brig rework for like 2 seasons. We finally know what it is. So, Brigitte, let's go over one change first. Her repair pack has been reduced from 30 to 25 meters. So, little shorter, unforgiving on the range for her repair pack. That's her E ability. I guess it's okay of a change considering what her ultimate's going to be. But yeah, you know, it is a nerf. Her rework ultimate. So her shield size has increased. I'm sure you guys have already seen images of it. If not, there's a lot of YouTube videos out there. I feel like you guys aren't coming to my channel necessarily to see those images, and I don't have any to give at the moment outside of just like yanking somebody else's content. So, you know, if you haven't already seen it, it's out there for the people that get early access to this stuff. I'm not one of those guys yet. But anyway, Brig's shield has been increased in size. Think of it like 2 extra shields, one to the left and one to the right of her. And so it's almost like 3 of her, like she has 3 shields now, like stacked left to right, basically in terms of size. Her HP on the shields has been increased. So her shield normally is 300 HP. When she's ulting, it goes up to 750. Her armor for herself goes up to 300 HP instantly. So when Brig ults, as of right now, everybody's, including hers, ticks up. But not for Brig. Everybody else will still tick up at normal, you know, what they normally do as of right now. But for Brig, it just instantly maxes out. So she goes instantly to 300 HP. 100 HP of that is restorable armor. So say you ult as Brig and you catch a body shot, and the other support can heal that back up, or it'll tick back up during the course of the ultimate. Her shield bash will stun again. Again, this is only when she's ulting. And to add to that, because the shield has increased in size, she can now stun up to, well, I guess it's not really necessarily an up to, but it's she can stun multiple targets. In my head, I was thinking she could stun up to 3 because I'm thinking like 3 people, standing from left to right. But technically, there could be like all 5 people clumped together, and if they're capable of being smacked by the shield, she could potentially stun all of them. Her bonus speed has been decreased by half. So when she ults, she gains 30% speed boost currently. That will be reduced to 15%. And the other thing I wanted to add to this is when you stun, so when you're ulting as Brig, and if you do shield bash, say for example to like a Diva Bomb, you will stun the Diva Bomb in its track. So keep something like that in mind. So you can cancel. So say, for example, Reinhardt Hammer Down, you would be able to cancel that if you stun him before he slams down. That would be something you could cancel. Moira ult used to be canceled by Brig Shield Bash, so I would assume that's going to come back. You were able to cancel Lucio's beat drop. You were able to stun Cassidy out of High Noon, I believe. I'm trying to think. Reaper ult, you were able to stun Reaper ult out of his ultimate. May's ult, you were able to stun if you did it early enough. Although that has been, but if you remember last patch note, that got buffed a little bit, so that one's going to be trickier to do, but I would assume there's still going to be a little bit of a magic window there to do it, but it's going to be a little less forgiving on the Brigitte side of things. I'm trying to think of other heroes you might potentially be able to stun out of their ultimates, but those are the ones that are coming to mind at the moment. If there's other ones that I'm missing that you're thinking of, or if you have questions about a specific hero's ultimate being stunnable out of it with a Brigitte shield bash, feel free to ask in the comments and I can try to cover it. Or even try to do like a little side video showcasing if it can be or can't be or something like that. But those are the ones that I can remember doing back in like Overwatch 1. So yeah. In terms of the Brigitte ultimate change, I'm curious on what it will do to Brig. I'm left at the moment feeling slightly underwhelmed by it, but I've heard other people think that it's going to make Brig one of the meta supports, so I'm kind of curious to see how she'll truly play out in all of this. I guess I don't really have a solid prediction for what Brig's going to feel like come this update. I'm not really sure. I kind of feel underwhelmed by it, though. I was expecting like a complete overhaul to her ultimate, and I feel like this is just it's a little bit of a buffed up ultimate. I will say that, but I don't know. I guess I was expecting something different, but it is what it is. So moving on. Mercy. Mercy's healing per second has increased from 45 to 55. However, she no longer increased that buff she had in the last, I believe it was the last patch, where if a target was under 50% health, that speed increase of healing buff, that no longer exists now. So it basically kind of went back to how it used to be. Guardian Angel cooldown reduced from 2.5 to 1.5, and the jump and crouch cancel activate duration was increased from 1 to 1.5 seconds. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's really weird that they just keep changing Mercy all the time. I feel like this is going to make her movement speed feel very clunky. But until I get my hands on it, until I see other people getting their hands on it, through VOD reviews and stuff like that, I'll be curious to see what people are actually doing with Mercy. But I'm not really, I kind of feel like it's a mini nerf to her, but not a huge one. But it might, in terms of the movement speed, is what I'm most curious in seeing here for Mercy. Moira got a pretty big change here. So her Biotic Grasp, which is her main heal, her left click heal, the lingering heal duration increased from 2 to 3 seconds. So for those that don't know, if you spray somebody with her spray, it keeps healing for 2 seconds as of right now. So that'll go up to 3 now. So when if you give them a little squirt, like a little pre-battle squirt, and then they take damage like a second later, they would have had a second of like extra little boost of healing going in. So I always like to kind of pre-spray some people as they're going in. So that strategy only got better. So pre-spraying a little bit as you're like initiating a fight or being initiated or about to be, might not be a bad idea. I'm not saying hold the spray button down, but give a little squirt out there. And you know, that lasts a little longer now. So her fade can be activated during coalescence. That's a huge one, because I don't know about you guys, but I always have to look out for Reinhardt's when I'm ulting as Moira, because you're a target for being hammer down to be taken out of your ultimate. If you're managing your fade ability now, you can bypass that. You can time that in a way where it's not going to hurt you, which is a huge one to me. That's a huge buff that I don't think anybody was asking for. And yeah, the Moira TikTokers that are out there, ooh, look out now. And then her base, or no, not her base, her bonus movement speed while in coalescence has been reduced from 50% to 40%. Let me get another VOD up here let's do this one while we're talking, just so you guys got something to look at. Okay. Yeah, all right. So that's actually the last note here for current heroes. So I also wanted to talk about Lifeweaver and give my initial thoughts to the hero. So even though we are, where is my mouse? There it is. Okay, so let's pull this up here. Okay. All right, we'll just leave it on the tank for now. All right, so this is Lifeweaver. This is our next support player here. I am very terrified that this is going to just turn into a troll pick. Not gonna lie to you guys. I'm nervous about this one. Let me see if I can get this to go over. Okay. All right. So be it. Good enough. So yeah, I'm very terrified that this is going to be a troll pick character, and I'm also worried he's not going to do enough healing. I'm a big proponent of telling people this is a support role. This isn't a healing role. You know, a lot of people think support means healing, and it doesn't. And this is like, they took that stance and just went crazy with it. Like, this is the epitome of, we aren't healers, we are supports. But my God, some of these abilities I'm just very concerned about. So let's, I want to just walk over each one in terms of some of their statistics, and we'll just kind of go over some of that. So, his Healing Blossom, which is his primary fire, It's 12 ammo with a charge mechanic to it. So think like Symmetra's right click. Nothing happens if no one is in range. So if you charge up a heal shot and the person dashes away from you or teleports away from you, fades away from you, whatever, you just lose it. Assuming you've got nobody else to throw it at. And it will consume ammo. The reload time is 1.75 seconds. The max healing, so if you max charge one of those up, it's 65 HP. That seems really low. Like 65 HP, like this is the epitome of an off healer. This guy is going to struggle to keep people up. And this is another concern I have as a support player, and it's a concern you all should have as well, because think about it this way. If you're not playing Anna, Moira, or Baptiste alongside of Lifeweaver, your team is really going to struggle to stay alive. Because if you're playing, let's say if you're playing Mercy, Mercy is at her best pocketing a hit scan DPS, or pocketing a DPS that's really landing his shots. But everybody's going to want to play Lifeweaver in the new season when he's live and competitive, right? Like that's just always the case. When a new hero's out, somebody's going to want to grab him. So if you're playing Mercy, or if you're a Lucio main, or if you're a Zenyatta main, or Kiriko, or Brig, if you're any of those five and you're playing next to Lifeweaver, think about your tank for a second. Your tank is going to severely struggle to stay alive. I mean, maybe not so much with Kiriko. Kiriko can kind of keep a tank going. I've always said Kiriko is kind of a pseudo main healer, and I do feel like Mercy's kind of a pseudo main healer, but Mercy at her best is pocketing DPS and also shooting over to the other support. You don't want to be pocketing your tank unless your DPS are just on the struggle bus and the tank is carrying the team. That would be a caveat. But yeah, you're going to... So think about it at your tank's perspective. He's going to struggle to stay alive, even if he's playing Roadhog or something like that, because this Lifeweaver character isn't going to keep, let's say, a Winston going. He just isn't. So think about that for you Mercy players, or you Lucio, Zens of the world, Brig. It's going to be rough if you like playing the off support role and don't want to be playing Lifeweaver. It's just going to be rough this season. So keep that in mind. And now, on the other side of the spectrum, if you play Anna, Bap, or Moira, you're going to have the brunt load of healing to do. Because Lifeweaver, he deals a decent amount of damage, and I'll go over those statistics here in a minute, but I feel like you're going to see a lot of DPS style Lifeweavers out there that aren't going to be throwing a lot of healing out there. So I feel like for support players, this is going to be a stressful season unless they do something to Lifeweaver's healing. If they buff it, or maybe make the charge cooldown a little quicker or something. But I think it's going to be a rough one this season for us. All right, so let's go into some more stats here. Okay, one thing I wanted to note that I've kind of caught on to from other videos that I've watched. There's going to be a setting. So, like, you know how Anna, for example, has her nano confirmed, like that's a unique setting only to Anna. So Lifeweaver is going to have a sensitivity setting specific to him. And it's called Healing and Life Grip Sensitivity. Now, I'm going to tell you guys a tip that and it's going to start out on the setting, but don't change it, is basically what I'm saying. It starts out at 100%. You're going to want to keep it, I think, at 100%. And I'm going to tell you why. When you're throwing out the healing projectile, which is called Healing Blossom, it arcs when you shoot it. And if you've got it at 100%, you've got wiggle room to aim it at a particular person you want to shoot it at and still allow it to hit that person. So for example, say you've got a Genji on your team and he dives past a Reinhardt and the Reinhardt has his shield up. You can aim up above the Genji and lob it, and it will go over the Reinhardt shield. It'll lob over and it will hit the Genji and heal him. The lower you bring that sensitivity down, the closer you got to keep your crosshair to the hero, and the more difficult to impossible it will get to do that trick shot of your healing. So long story short, there's going to be a setting for him. Don't change it. Keep it there. Unless we come up with a different reason to change it later. But as of right now, my advice, leave it at 100% and don't change it. So the other thing I wanted to point out is his Healing Blossom. It, like I said, it acts as a projectile, which means different things will eat it. D.Va, Defense Matrix, Sigma, Genji, they can all eat his healing primary fire. So just keep that in mind when there's a D.Va or a Sigma around and they're using their ability, their deflect, and so forth. So going into his DPS side of things, which is called Thorn Volley, 60 ammo, 1.6 reload time, fires 2 thorns per click or tick on the server. They do 5 damage apiece, up to 30 damage if you land all body shots. There's no fall off damage, but the weapon spread gets larger radius as you get further out. So you're not really going to land like all shots once you are kind of getting into a longer range thing. You're not really going to be going Lifeweaver to, let's say, counter like a long range Widowmaker or something like that, unless you're doing it for other reasons, but you're not going to be like out DPSing like a Widowmaker or something like that. You can throw some cover fire down. You'll hit her, but you're likely not going to kill a good Widowmaker if she's full health and at a distance and possesses some form of aiming ability. All right, Petal Platform. 12-second cooldown, lasts forever until used or destroyed or redeployed. Either team can activate it. Activated for the high ground use. D.Va, Sigma, Genji, for example, can't eat it, but it will not go through a shield. So if there's a Sigma, Reinhardt, Winston bubble, that kind of a thing, it won't go through it. But Genji can't deflect it back at you or something like that. It's a unique ability. It's kind of like a jump pad of sorts. From what I've seen in the videos that I've watched, certain heroes will obviously benefit more from this than others. I think hit scans are going to benefit from it, from having high ground advantage. I did see, in terms of supports, I think Anna could benefit from it the most. I don't really see Moira benefiting from it much. Zen, maybe a little bit. However, I feel like it might make him an easy shootable target, but time will tell if that's an accurate assessment of that one or not. One hero I would definitely say it does not benefit is Lucio. I watched somebody play around with it on Lucio. His healing aura does not affect anybody directly under him. He would have to work the edges. If he beat drops, people won't get it if they're not in a direct line of sight from him, and that pedal will block that. So unless you beat drop right on the edge and then instantly drop off of it, I don't see a point to it. So if you do play Lifeweaver and you play it next to a Lucio, which as of right now, I'm not expecting to be a good healing combination, but maybe I'll be wrong. I don't know. Don't do that with Lucio, or try to avoid doing it with Lucio. As far as other supports, I think Brig will be another one that will really benefit much from it at all. I really feel like Anna and Bap are probably going to be the two that'll benefit from that the most. But with Bap having that jump ability, I don't even know if he'll benefit all that much from it. But that's my initial hot take of that, that ability. His Rejuvenate Dash, it moves you 6.15 meters. It's a 5-second cooldown with a 25 HP heal. It does not cleanse you if you're antied, and it will not launch you up at all. So it's kind of like a makeshift and kind of a crappier version of Moira Fade, in my opinion. I'm sure it's going to have its uses, especially kind of like if you're kind of on the DPS Lifeweaver side of things. It'll definitely help you maybe win a duel, but that's about it. Maybe keep you alive a little longer in a long team fight or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's a cool little ability, I guess, but it's nothing make or break in my opinion, at least at the moment. But maybe you can use it to dodge like a hammer down or something like that. All right, Life Grip. This is the controversial one. This is the ability I'm most terrified of turning into a troll pick for people that get tilted or just start trolling a lobby, get angry for whatever reason. So there's a 30-meter range. It puts the teammate in front of you to where you activate the ability. So if you activate it at a spot and then yank them to you, but then you move, it won't follow them to you to your moved spot. It's where you use the ability. It's got a 20-second cooldown, which is pretty long. You get it. Oop, I think I just picked the same one again. All right, 20-second cooldown. Let's see. While being pulled, they have a shield that will make them immortal during the pull, which is an interesting one. So you can theoretically save somebody from, let's say, a Diva Bomb, for example, just on a hypothetical, or a High Noon. You could, yank somebody, but maybe you don't yank them out of the line of sight. Or maybe he triggers the High Noon as you're pulling them. But while they're being moved, they've got this little aura around them. They will take no damage. The interesting thing about that is you can't hide behind that shield, though. It does not block for you. It only blocks for the person receiving it. So if you, say, for example, you have a Diva in front of you, and you've also got your tank in front of you, but let's say it's a Doomfist, as we're looking at a Doomfist. And all of a sudden the Diva throws her bomb, but maybe it doesn't go all the way. Maybe you've got a Brig with you and she shield bashes it while ulting, and she kind of stops the Diva bomb in its tracks. But the Doomfist is stuck in front of it. You could yank him and save him from eating any damage, but if you're directly behind the Doomfist while you're doing it, you'll still take that damage. So you would sacrifice yourself essentially to save the Doomfist, but you would still die, just as a hypothetical scenario. Which is an interesting one because I actually didn't know that, and I only saw that in one video that I had watched in terms of how Lifeweaver works. So it's a good little tidbit. Okay, his parting gift. It lasts for 12 seconds. So if you played the Pacamari event that we just had a couple weeks or so ago, when a teammate or an enemy died and you had to pick up the Pacamari to either get a score or try to get your teammate's Pacamari drop so that the enemy doesn't get a score, you know, it's kind of that mechanic. Well, it is that mechanic, just with a different graphic to it. So when a Lifeweaver dies, they drop like a flower petal looking thing, and it lasts 12 seconds, and it can be picked up by anybody. A friendly person, an ally that picks it up, gets 250 HP of healing, and if you're the enemy and they pick it up, they get 75 HP of healing. I'll be curious to see how that 75 HP goes on a scorecard. Like, say, for example, let's say a Widowmaker picks it up and they one-trick Widow the whole game. Does Widowmaker suddenly get a healing statistic? I would assume so. Would they get 75, assuming they got the whole 75? I'm assuming that's how that would work, but it's going to be kind of an interesting one to look at when you look at the scorecards. Anyway, so yeah, that's another thing with Lifeweaver that just has me a little bit worried about trolling effects. You know, say you get a pissed off teammate and they're tilted for whatever reason. They go Lifeweaver, they start yanking a teammate around that doesn't want to be yanked, and then they go and feed into the enemy's backline and die, and then suddenly now the enemy's got a health pack that can give them 75 HP of healing. I don't know. I find it to be kind of a weird thing. It's a weird ability that just has me a little concerned, I guess. It's not a super make or break, as opposed to like the yank could potentially be, especially on certain maps. Ilios is the one I'm most worried about. However, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a unique ability. It's kind of cool, I guess, but it's, you know, if used in the right hands, I don't really seeing it being too much of anything outside of maybe when you're trying to have a stall fight, and the healer dies, or the support rather, and maybe there's a tank there that could utilize it and keep like a stall going a little bit longer while your team rushes back from spawn to do something. That, you know what I mean? Like something like that, I could see that kind of being beneficial. All right, and then last but not least is his ultimate, the Tree of Life. It has a 30-meter range. It lasts 15 seconds. It has a 12-meter radius, which would be the circle that goes around the tree once it's deployed. It instantly will heal anybody in said radius 150 HP instantly. Kind of like, think of the Baptiste shift ability where it instantly heals Baptiste. Same kind of principle there, except more. It will pulse heal 50 HP 8 times for a maximum of 550 HP. If you're taking enough damage to, you know, get that much healing out of it, and assuming it doesn't die, because that tree has 1000 HP and the enemy can shoot it and kill it. And I've seen in videos a particular subset of heroes that will absolutely melt this tree very quickly. And that subset that I saw was Reaper Bastion. If they're like right next to that thing, Reaper goes into tank mode, or not Reaper, Bastion goes into it and Reaper's right next to it. That tree does not last long at all. And it does act as, think of it kind of like it acts as a May wall. So it's a wall, essentially. The tree acts as a physical thing on the map with HP. So only real comparison I can give to it is the May ice wall. So think of it like that. So, you can potentially use it to block things like High Noon, Diva Bomb. You could use it as a bit of a shield to like a Soldier ult or a Reaper ult, or, you know, things of that nature. Hammer Down, I would assume it would block Hammer Down. I actually haven't seen that in a video, but I don't honestly see why it wouldn't, because a May Ice Wall would, so I don't know. I don't see why that wouldn't block it. So things like that, it will block. Oh, also, one other thing to note, I forgot to put this in my notes, but I did see this in a video yesterday. EMP, I believe, kills the tree. So Somber is a hard counter to that ultimate, so keep that in mind too. Yeah, that's it for what I've got on the notes. So in terms of Lifeweaver, I don't know. I think it's going to be a steep learning curve. And I think playing support this season as a whole, no matter what hero you main, is going to be a little on the rough one this season. The thing that I'm going to the main piece of advice I'll give for season 4 is, obviously, if you're going to try to be a Lifeweaver main, that's going to be one thing, and I don't really have advice for those of you yet until I get my hands on them myself. But for the people that are going to kind of look at Lifeweaver and be like, that hero isn't for me, start considering playing heroes that output a lot of heals, because Lifeweaver just isn't going to be doing that. The equivalent would be playing next to like a Zenyatta or like a Brig, who's playing Brig into a team comp that doesn't benefit having a Brig and isn't doing a lot of healing. Or if you're playing next to like a Reddit Lucio who's not really playing with his team or stays on Speed Song a lot, think of it probably along those lines. So if you're going to be playing a lot of support in this upcoming season, my advice is to adapt to playing next to Lifeweavers while the community figures it out. And it's going to be a rough one. I wouldn't be surprised if for those of you that frequent the channel, tell me that you've dropped an SR this season, primarily playing next to Lifeweavers that just aren't doing a lot. I'm expecting that. I could end up being wrong, but that's my expectations for this season. So I'm sorry it's a little doom and gloomy, but I don't know. I'm seeing the chaos already. I feel like that's my foresight for this season. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. We'll try to get another video or two out maybe this weekend before the season starts. Otherwise, when season 4 actually goes live, we'll be hitting it with VOD reviews probably maybe like a week into the season. So that first week, that'll be me trying to, get adapting and familiar to all the changes. So if I stay a little off the radar again, that's going to be why. I'm just going to be trying to adapt to the changes like you all are, so I can keep providing you guys with accurate and good VOD reviews. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.